So, hello and welcome to Force Book Chat. Today we are talking about this book, Reclaiming Bharat, by journalist, author, and former activist politician Ashutosh. The book, as the name suggests, we'll talk about the name later, is not just a study of the 2024 elections, though ostensibly that is what the book is considered to be, but actually it is a deep down into the drift towards ideology in our politics, which is affecting our democratic institutions as well as the electoral process. Over a period of time, this is likely to have impact on internal stability as well as external security. So this is what we are going to talk about. And welcome, Ashutosh. Thank you for agreeing to do this.
Thank you.
And I'm going to start from the first question, which has been really has sparked certain amount of curiosity, and that is the name Reclaiming Bharat. So now Bharat here, is it India versus Bharat of the RSS, or is it Bharat of the Constitution?
Thank you, Ghazala, for this interview about my book. Frankly speaking, we thought about it, that whether the word Bharat should be there or should not be there. And then finally, we reached to the conclusion, along with my publisher, that this is, I think, the most important thing which this book should do. Because there is a perception that the Bharat belongs to only RSS and Hindutva Brigade. And I think that's not the reality. The reality is that they try to own up. They try to have a copyright on the word Bharat. And unfortunately, in the past, people have not tried to take that away. But Bharat belongs to all of us. Bharat belongs to RSS. Yes, Bharat belongs to you. Bharat belongs to me. Bharat belongs to 140 crore of the countrymen and the citizens of this country. And so we thought that let's not let BJP own this word Bharat. And within that context, I tried to analyze not only the 2024 parliament election, but also the drift which Indian politics has taken since 2014. And I firmly believe that since 2014, India has taken a very, very transformative and a decisive turn. And not many people are trying to understand why this is happening and how this is happening. And the funny part is, and I will use the word funny part, is that many people think that the turn which India has taken since 2014 is a transitory, is a temporary, and it's like any other transformation which happens in every political party, in every political society. In my opinion, the transformation which has taken place since 2014 has to be deeply understood, because this is not just a simple transfer of power between Manmohan Singh to Narendra Modi, but this is basically a transfer of power between two kind of ideologies, between the two worldviews, between the two understanding of Indian civilization and two understanding of Indian history. And in fact, if you go more deeply, this basically a transfer of power between the two understanding how they perceive society and how the society should be. So within that context, I tried to analyze the whole thing. I don't know how much I succeeded, but yes, this is basically, earlier I had written a book called Hindu Rashtra. So in a way, it's a second part. In the Hindu Rashtra also, I tried to understand and visualize almost the similar things. But that the subject focus was from 2014 to 2019, the Modi government, and how the Modi government has been instrumental in changes which Indian society was witnessing and the politics was witnessing. In a way, 2024 Reclaiming Bharat is an extension, further extension, and you'll be surprised to know that I'm also planning a third book. So there will be a trilogy in a way.
So the third book would cover what?
After Reclaiming Bharat, when I was going through the manuscripts again and again and again, and then I realized that there are many fragments which I have discussed, but those are in pieces. Those pieces needed to be put together. Okay. And if I could do that, this will give a new framework to understand not only Hindutva, but also a whole journey of RSS and the turn which the country has taken since 2014. and why this turn has to be understood. Because as I discussed in my first book, The March of an Ideological State. So here I'm saying why I'm calling this is a march of an ideological state, and why I'm saying that the transfer of power between Manmohan Singh to Narendra Modi is not an ordinary transfer of power, but this is exceptional. This is extraordinary, and this is really, really transformative. So that change has to be understood, and that can only be understood if we try to understand the word called Hindutva. The
Right.
word is ideology, and from that perspective, uh, in my opinion, till now I haven't gone through the whole list of literatures,
Mhm.
but whatever I have read, nobody has tried to understood the change which the country is going through from Hindutva prism, from the ideological perspective. That when a country when a country becomes ideological, or
Mhm.
closer to the ideological framework, that what changes take place,
Right.
like within this context, if you see 1997, 1917, uh, when the power of transfer of power took place between from Tsar Shahi to the communist regime, then the communist regime was entirely a different beast altogether.
Mhm.
The similar
You're talking of the Russian Revolution.
Russian Revolution. So similar turn which the China has gone through, the entire Eastern
Mm.
Europe has gone through, even the Hitler's Germany has gone through, Mussolini's Italy has gone through. So unless we try to understand Hindutva, unless
Mm.
we try to understand that how the nature of state has changed since 2014, and why that change has taken place. In my opinion, it is the changes which we are witnessing today. It is because we are witnessing a march of an ideological state. I'm still not saying that India has turned into an ideological state, because
Mhm.
ideological state, if had been, then Indian constitution would not have survived.
Right.
You and we should not be speaking what we are speaking right now, because within those ideological state, nobody is free to express their opinion if it is in disagreement with the ideology of the day, ideology of the regime, ideology of the government.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. But we are closer to that.
Okay.
Uh,
This is sounding extremely dangerous and actually frightening prospects. But before we talk about this in greater detail, I want to pick your brains or your experiences during the election campaign of 2024. Since you traveled a lot and you engaged with a lot of people during this period, uh, did you think there was any impact on the electorate on events like G20, which was tom-tommed all over, even in villages, the government had put up posters there, and one saw videos of ordinary people saying, oh, now India has a risen power because we had hosted the G20. So events like these, or CA, NRC, or everything that the government was thinking would be its report card in A plus. Did any of this have impact on the ground on the electorate?
See, before answering a question, we have to understand that why an ideological state becomes so important. Because propaganda is the you can say this is basically जिसको मैं हिंदी में बोलता हूँ प्राणवायु.
Right.
It's a
Life, breath,
it's a
life breath,
lifeline, life breath.
life breath.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So without propaganda, ideological state can't exist. So the propaganda since 2014 has been such of such proportion we had never witnessed earlier. We had a PIB, we had a government propaganda, but that's nothing abysmal. That's abysmal. So the kind of this it is because of this propaganda that Mr. Narendra Modi has been seen across the board.
Mhm.
That since he became the prime minister, India's status in the world politics has risen, and
Right.
he is the prime minister the country was looking for a many decades,
Mhm.
something like that perception. Whether this perception is based on reality, that is something else.
Right.
But when you go to the field, we have to understand, and here I use what Althusser has spoken about. Althusser has spoken about the repressive state apparatus. He has also spoken about the ideological state apparatus. So what ideological state apparatus does,
Mhm.
that it creates a mindset it creates a kind of humans who believes what the government wants them to believe, and they speak the same language, and
Right.
that's how they maintain their hegemony across the board. The hegemony is again the Gramscian word, but Althusser is talking about this. What I'm saying is that when you go in the field, when you meet people, there are the two kinds of the people.
Mhm.
The one kind of the people, they are basically, I will not say the office bearers, but they're basically the cadre of the BJP and the RSS.
Mhm.
And you will find them at every nook and corner. And they are placed there with a design. And they will be on a chai dhaba, on a hotel, on a restaurant, on a chowk, on a chai ki dukaan pe. They will be posing themselves as an ordinary human being, as an ordinary electorate, but
Citizen,
they
yeah.
will be speaking the language of the government, and you will take it as a journalist, and our others will take it as a journalist, that look, this is the voice of a common man. But the
Mhm.
fact of the matter, it's not a voice of a common man. It is through them a consent is manufactured for the government.
Right.
This is the one kind of the people. The
Mhm.
other kind of the people is that those are the people who becomes the victim of this propaganda, the victim of this ideological state apparatus. And they start believing, they start speaking the language which government wants them to speak.
Right.
So we have to make a difference here. So when you go around during elections, these two kinds of people you will meet, and it becomes really difficult to understand. And then we'll come back and we try to analyze the elections without realizing that the how much propaganda has been used,
Mhm.
even for the journalist and even for the analyst, to believe what government wants them to believe, and you come back and write what they want you to write, and you are not realizing that. So when I was going to the elections, because there are many people who used to say BJP will get 400 seats or
Yes.
350 seats. Many people said this. And in fact, uh, many people who are critical of the government, critical of the Hindutva, even they were saying or speaking almost the same language.
Mhm.
And so, but I was sensing that there's something wrong. So 2024 run up to the elections, I was very keenly participating in the different TV discussions. And I was also, in fact, contracted by leading TV channels. When I used to say that Modi government will find it difficult to get the majority numbers,
Mhm.
the people were looking at me as if I'm some one mad guy, and who has no understanding of Indian politics, and he hates Modi so much, or he hates BJP so much, that he doesn't want to see the reality.
Mhm.
What I was saying is, and it's very simple. My argument was very simple. I said, see, 10 years is a very long time for any government to get an anti-incumbency.
Mhm.
Because what you promised 10 years back, sometimes it's really difficult to deliver. And even a
Right.
perfect politician, the perfect prime minister cannot deliver, and the God cannot deliver. So Modi had promised so much before 2014 when he was contesting elections, that in last 10 years it's next to impossible to deliver those things. So the people were unhappy. People had a disillusion with him.
Mhm.
But there was one thing which was really important, is because people believe that Modi is doing something which no prime minister has done it, and India is on the right path. So even if there is a price rise, even if there is a petrol going beyond 100 rupees, और सब्जी अगर 80 रुपए की या 200 रुपए की भी मिल रही है, तो ठीक है, मोदी काम तो अच्छा ही कर रहा, something like this.
Mhm.
But there was a large section of the people who were really hit by inflation, by unemployment. And then there was also disillusionment amongst the OBCs and the Dalits, which we witnessed in UP, because my focus
Mhm.
was basically on UP. And my two good friends who were reporting to my channel, Satya Hindi,
Mhm.
and they were saying that, look, in UP, BJP will not get more than 35 seats.
Okay.
And this was the time when the BJP was bragging that they will get 80 seats or 75 seats.
Mhm.
And I kept quizzing them. I kept asking them, now, are you serious? Even I was not willing to believe them. But are you serious? And when after exit poll results came out and everybody was giving 400 seats or 350 seats, I still remember we are having dinner at a friend's place. And this gentleman who has been saying consistently was just back from the UP that BJP will not get even 37, 35 seats. And I said, are you willing to put your neck out? He said, I am willing to put my neck out. His name is Sheetal Singh. He said, what I have seen, then BJP is not getting 35 seats. So it's not that everybody was a victim of that propaganda, and that was or not that everybody was believing what the BJP was saying or the RSS was saying. There were people, but those are a small number of people.
Mhm.
So
What kind
yeah.
of impact Bharat Jolo Yatra had? Do you think it happened too soon and peaked too soon, so it couldn't have as much impact on the elections as it could have had if it was held closer to the date?
See, Ghazala, I think this is something which we have to understand. Bharat Jolo Yatra before Rahul Gandhi, before Bharat Jolo Yatra, Rahul Gandhi after Bharat Jolo Yatra.
Right.
And we also have to understand that why since 2014 BJP and the government had gone miles and miles to discredit Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, it is a miracle that how Rahul Gandhi has survived.
Right.
And since I participate in different TV debates on a daily basis, I know how the BJP and their supporters, they ridicule, they mock, they insult, they use all kinds of language against Rahul Gandhi. And Rahul Gandhi is right when he said that the $1 million industry is there to discredit me. So before 2014, before Bharat Jolo Yatra, Rahul Gandhi was projected like a Pappu was good for nothing and is only there because he's a son of Sonia Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi. Otherwise, he should not be there. And ये तो दो लाइन भी अपने से नहीं बोल सकता. That kind of image was made. And in fact, many of our liberal friends, they also believed into that.
That's true.
What the Bharat Jolo Yatra has done the Bharat Jolo Yatra has totally and completely transformed perception about Rahul Gandhi. So Rahul Gandhi and everybody start thinking and believing that if this boy is walking from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, and then that means he's really serious, and he's not a ordinary politician, and perception about him changed. That's a one thing, and which benefited the Congress party and which benefited India Gadbandhan. The point number two, the perception of Muslims and the minorities also changed about him. Because before Bharat Jolo Yatra, minorities believed that nobody was raising their issues, nobody is fighting for them, and they were left orphaned.
Right.
When he moved from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, and he was talking about secularism, he was talking about the minority rights, he was scathingly attacking the Modi government, BJP and the RSS, then I think the minorities believe that this man is not doing lip service, he's serious about it. So Bharat Jolo Yatra has done great job, not only to Rahul Gandhi, but also to the Congress party. And in UP, despite Congress being very weak organizationally, but if the BJP got 33 seats, and that it's I dare say this, it was Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jolo Yatra that really worked, because along with he raised the issue of Constitution Bachao, something like
right. Yes. Yes.
that campaign. So Bharat Jolo Yatra has done tremendous job. What was missing was that Bharat Jolo Yatra should have been followed up with more follow-up actions.
Right.
I think that was the missing link between. If the BJP had done it, the kind of organizational base it has, they would have multiplied the impact of it. Congress could not capitalize the way it should have been capitalized.
Right. You've also referred to something changing on the ground after the inauguration of the Ram Mandir, after the Pran Pratishtha ceremony. Everybody thought that the BJP has swept the elections. But somewhere towards the end of January and early February, you refer to something changing on the ground. And then the tide started shifting from the BJP towards the India alliance, and even the India Gathbandhan leaders then suddenly was seen to be more proactive in their campaigning. What shifted? What changed?
See, the two things have changed. One, the anti-incumbency. The 10 years, as I said earlier, 10 years is a pretty long time for anti-incumbency to set in against any government or any prime minister. That was one basic factor. So people were really unhappy. And I will not say the people are dejected or people are rejecting, but there was a disoriented. People are really disappointed. A large section of the people are disappointed because महंगाई बहुत ज्यादा थी, सब्जी वगैरह के दाम बहुत ज्यादा बढ़े हुए थे, लोग बच्चों को नौकरियां नहीं मिल रही थी, रोजगार नहीं मिल रहे थे. तो एक तो वो था एंटी इनकम्बेंसी था. द सेकंड फैक्टर व्हिच वाज इंपॉर्टेंट इज बिकॉज ऑफ दिस कैंपेन, द 400 सीटें अगर मिलेंगी तो हम भारत का संविधान बदल देंगे. आई थिंक द ब्रिलियंस ऑफ राहुल गांधी लाइज इन दैट ही पिक्ड दैट इशू and he looked into the eyes of the BJP and the RSS and dared and told them that why you want 400 seats, because you want to change the constitution. And fortunately, few of the BJP leaders, they fell into the trap and they said, if we get 400 seats, we'll change the constitution. And looking at the BJP's history, looking at the RSS history, RSS had never accepted Indian constitution. Even in fact, when on 26 January 1950, when the constitution was adopted, even then Golwalkar has said that इस संविधान में तो भारत की आत्मा नहीं है और भारत का जो तिरंगा है ये तो अपशकुन है क्योंकि इसमें 3 रंग है, तो हिंदू कभी इसको एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे. देन देयर इज अ होल लॉट ऑफ स्टेटमेंट्स ऑफ रज्जू भैया, प्रोफेसर राजेंद्र सिंह, who also became the RSS chief, then K.S. Sudarshan as early as in 2007 in an interview to Karan Thapar. When Karan Thapar asked him question, do you accept the Indian constitution? He said no. And then he went on to say that scrap the constitution. And as recently as the Prime Minister's Economic Council chairperson, he just died recently, he wrote an article in Mint and said that India needs a new constitution. So the whole history was that the BJP had never accepted Indian constitution. So this, when the Rahul Gandhi took up the issue of Safe Constitution campaign, and he carried that constitution in his pocket and said that if BJP comes back in power with 400 seats or 350 seats, then this constitution is not safe. And this constitution, for a large section of the people in this country, just provides a provides a space where they look at only from the democracy point of view. But much larger section of the people, this is a question of their identity. This is a question of their existence. Because before Indian constitution was adopted, Indian society was never an equal society. It was a very, very unequal society where the Dalits and the OBCs were treated rather shabbily. And in fact, Mohan Bhagwat has said in one of his interviews, in one of his statements, he said that कि 2000 साल से हमने इनके साथ पशुवत का व्यवहार किया, पशुओं से बदतर व्यवहार किया है, अब 200 साल तक तो हमको इनको रिजर्वेशन देना ही पड़ेगा. Something like that. Even the RSS has accepted that for 2000 years they have been treated so badly, less than an animal. They were not treated like a humans. The constitution has, for the first time in Indian civilization, has given them a sense of equality. And a sense of equality in legal terms and political terms, which was rather an anathema earlier, which they couldn't have dreamt that they could be treated equally in the eyes of law or in terms of politics. But what was missing is still there was a social equality. And so it is the demand for reservation is basically a part of that social equality. The implementation of Mandal Commission is again a part of that process, that social equality should be given to the Dalits and the OBCs. So when this demand came, when this became a chorus, a loud chorus, that if the BJP gets 400 seats along with his allies, then the constitution will not be safe. So Dalits and a large section of the Dalits and the OBCs, they realize that this is a dangerous situation. If the BJP gets those numbers, then probably the constitution will not be there. And if the constitution will not be there, their whole rush for the political equality, legal equality, and the social equality will go for a toss. Right. So, and if that happens, then they will be again back to square one. So it is this sense, this realization that the constitution being removed means they will be robbed of their identity and existence.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is why, if you look at the two states are very important. One is Maharashtra, another is UP. And in both the states, BJP did very badly. Why? Because Maharashtra and UP, they are the original space for the Dalit movement.
Yes.
Maharashtra has been a land of Baba Saheb Ambedkar and Phule,
Full.
and whereas the UP has been a land of Kanshiram and Mayawati.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, that experiment with Baba Saheb Ambedkar could not do. Kanshiram successfully did. Mayawati became the chief minister for 4 times. So the Dalit section, when they realize that this election is for their own existence, and so they should not let BJP win.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in these two states, part of Rajasthan also, and Haryana also, when that happens, then the BJP really was in a soup. And BJP is lucky to get 240 seats. If the Odisha has not helped them, they would have been somewhere around 220 or 225. And then there was a real possibility of India Gathbandhan coming to power.
Right. You know, the opposition or the India alliance focused so much on constitution would change if the BJP comes to power. But in the last 75 years, the constitution has been amended so much. The interpretation of various constitutional acts have been slightly problematic by the interpretation by the Supreme Courts and the state high courts. There have been so much of distortion of, I would say, the spirit of the constitution in the way laws have been implied or imposed. So does it really matter whether the constitution is changed or is not changed? Because if it can be subverted by the ruling party and with a judiciary in its support, then how does it matter?
See, Ghazala, the mistake which at times we make is that amendments, more than 100 amendments, were done within the four walls of the Constitution.
Okay.
And I think this is the most brilliant part which Indian constitution maker has imbibed in our constitution. Because our constitution, which was made in 1950, because at that point of time, the social realities were different. Historical perspective was different. After 75 years, that constitution which we adopted in 1950 would have been an outdated if there was no provision for the amendments. So the amendments are there to keep the constitution moving and alive with the changing situation, with the changing social realities. But within the four walls of the constitution. Within the four walls of the constitution, not when BJP talks about changing the constitution, that means they basically want to remove this constitution and put a new constitution. So the amendments are different. Amendments are done within that framework. The changing the constitution and subverting and removing the constitution is entirely different. What the BJP articulates is they need a Hindu Rashtra. And Hindu Rashtra has a different connotation, is a different meaning altogether. The constitution, and that's why I said that the transfer of power between Manmohan Singh to this Modi government is an exceptional. Why I said that? I said this for the simple reason because before 2014, there was a Nehruvian consensus, there is a constitutional consensus, there is a democratic consensus that come what may, the secularism will not be subverted, come what may, the federalism will not be subverted, come what may, the independence of judiciary will not be subverted, come what may, the primacy of the parliament will be there, come what may, the prime minister has to be accountable to the parliament and through parliament to the people. These are the, and come what may, the prime minister of the country will not align himself with one particular religion. So these are the basic features of the constitution, which cannot be compromised. And this is a concept, a basic feature of the constitution has been evolved by the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has also helped in that sense in making our constitution alive and enriching. But 2014, Hindutva does not believe in Nehruvian consensus. Hindutva has no faith in the constitutional consensus. Hindutva doesn't believe into the democracy per se. But since they were too weak when the constitution was imposed until 2014, that they were not in a position to change the constitution. So they had no other option than to operate within the four walls of the constitution with an ambition to change the constitution if they get, if they reach to that situation. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but
So
my
when
question is that since 2014, even if they have not changed the constitution, they have managed to operate or further their Hindutva interests or their ideological interests through the constitution itself. Whether diminishing the status of a state to a union territory, or whether passing laws like CAA and RC, which actually reduce the citizenship to religion, something which was debated extensively in the Constituent Assembly and was overruled. So they have brought it back. So my question is, within the constitution, if they are able to impose these kind of restrictions, for instance, UCC, which Uttarakhand government passed, again within the constitution. So are these against the spirit of the constitution, or everything that you said, that the India that the constitution envisioned, all of this is against that?
See, this is what the Baba Sahib Ambedkar said. And Baba Sahib Ambedkar said, even if they got the best constitution, if those who are implementing the constitution are bad, then the best constitution can be the worst constitution. He got the worst constitution if the people who are implementing them are the good. So it looks like a good constitution. Since 2014, what the BJP government has done, the Modi government has done is simple. They are trying to subvert the constitution. They are trying to use the constitution for to attain their utopia, which is called Hindu Rashtra.
Yeah.
But how they have done it? They are using the constitutional framework. But if you look at seriously, they are basically subverting the constitution.
Right. That is
they
what
are basically, they are basically going against the spirit of the constitution.
Yes.
So, about why this is happening? This is happening because, and I use the word march of an ideological state, because the state, the nature of the state has changed. Though the state is still working within the constitutional framework, but the nature of the state has changed. Nature of the state has changed, and now anybody and everybody who is opposed to or disagrees with that ideology will be branded as the enemy of the state. An enemy of the state has no right to exist.
Right.
And every institution will be subverted. Look what is happening, how the election commission is behaving, how the police is behaving, how the ED is behaving. Almost all the institutions' back has been broken. Their spine has been broken. Barring even the Supreme Court is not exceptional in that situation. Right. There are the serious criticism of the Supreme Court also. The Supreme Court is even the four Supreme Court judges, they held a press conference and said 50 years down the line, if our grandchildren ask us when the democracy was being compromised, where were you? What did you do? This has never happened. So what I'm saying is we are witnessing the march of an ideological state, and within that ideological framework of every section of the society and every sector of the state has to work or have to work for the construction of the utopia called Hindu Rashtra. Right. And those who will not take part into that, either they will be eliminated, or they will be annihilated, or they will be neutralized, and they will be thrown into the dustbin, or the marginalized. So that process is on. I'm still not saying that India has become an ideological state. If India has become an ideological state, then you and me would not have been speaking the way we are speaking still. But that space has shrunk. Look at how the media is behaving.
Yeah, that is true.
This is not the media for which India was known. This is the different media altogether. This media is an extension counter of the RSS office. And they are speaking exactly the language which the government wants them to speak, or the RSS and the BJP wants them to speak. This is not a free media.
It's good that you brought in the media. I'm actually very curious to know how much of this media's capitulation to the ruling dispensation result of ideological alignment, and how much is it self-interest, monetary interest or fear of the government, or how much is it ideological alignment?
I think it's a very tricky question in that sense, but let me answer this question. What I say is that a large section of the media has an ideological alignment. A large section. I will say something around 30% to 25%. But the rest of the 70%, they basically do not have a spine.
Okay.
They are basically into the profit making business.
Okay.
And that is where I say that India is still not an evolved democracy. It is still not a liberal society in that sense. We are still a semi feudal society. यो जो feudal society में जो माई बाप का culture है, that culture is there.
Right.
And that वो माई बाप है जी, आपके बिना मेरा कुछ चल नहीं सकता. I can't imagine that not a single media house except a few in the South India and others, they are standing up with the government and looking into their eyes and say you are wrong. Now look at USA. USA is an evolved democracy. Donald Trump is there. He's doing all kinds of rubbish things. But there the media is standing up. Yes, the media is there divided between the two camps. One is the right-wing media and there is the left-wing or the liberal media. But at least there is the New York Times, there's a Washington Post who are openly saying, Mr. Trump, you are wrong. Mr. Trump, you are lying. And tough questions are asked by reporters in America. Why those tough questions are not being asked in India? The same media which tom-toms everything, that we are great media, freedom of expression, something like that before 2014. And you remember what Manmohan Singh has said, the history will be more kind to me. And he was basically saying the media was not kind to him. The same media which was grilling Manmohan Singh on a daily basis, like a ferocious beast. The same media after 2014, it just disappeared. So 25 to 30% are aligned with are ideologically aligned, because what the BJP has done during the three regimes, 1977 to 79, when they were in part of the government, Janta government.
Yes.
And from 1998 to 2006, 2004, when the Atal Bihari Vajpayee was there, they successfully planted their people into the different media houses. And by the time 2014, many of them were has risen through the ranks and were the decision makers.
Yes.
But the rest of the 70% media were supposed to stand up and to ask tough questions, capitulated because their owners capitulated, because the editors capitulated, because the anchors capitulated, and many of them were for the profit, and many of them were there to survive, and many of them were real opportunists. They knew that if they could toe the government line, they could be the editor and they could be the prime time anchors. So they did that.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, you're saying something.
So because I can't imagine the same talent pool which 2014 was grilling Manmohan Singh and the government was capitulating, and they were believing the fake news, and they were demonizing a particular community like Muslims. They were demonizing Muslims. And they became the hate mongers. The same media 2014 was a different beast altogether. Suddenly it became different beast altogether. And look, the government also tried to send a message to the different media houses that if you do not align with us, that you can lose your business, you can lose your channel. And the Pranay Roy is a classic case in that sense.
Yes, that's true. You know, that brings me to the next question, which is corruption. Before 2014, corruption had always been a very big issue in India for some reason. Rajiv Gandhi lost his mandate because of corruption. The Bofors, and even today, Congress is unable to, read down the Bofors allegations, which are pinned to their reputation. Then India Against Corruption movement, IAC movement. Again, Manmohan Singh government fell prime, among other things, also because of this movement. But after 2014, no allegation of corruption, and nobody can say that there is no corruption in the present government. In fact, there are people who have given examples of how corruption is institutionalized in the present government, by the present government. Yet no allegation sticks to them. People just don't seem to matter. Don't seem to bother, whether it's Rafale or even PM Care or whatever. Now electoral bonds. So my question is, unless RSS is behind a movement, unless RSS can mobilize its cadre for a movement, is it fair to say that no people's movement in India have succeeded or can succeed?
I think this answer needs a very uh, a deeper understanding of, as I keep repeating myself, how the India has changed since 2014. See, before 2000, there are two kinds of corruption. One corruption is you go to the government office and you will ask money. I think that process has gone up. Earlier, if you are paying 100 rupees, now you are paying 1,000 rupees. So, no, Modi government cannot say that the corruption has finished. Second is, the corruption means the big corruption involving the government. So, how that used to happen? That used to happen because the journalists and the media houses had an access with the government. Now that access is denied. Now that access is completely stopped. So when a journalist cannot enter into the government offices, when the officers are scared to talk to the journalists because they know if they are caught, then the career will be over. So how the journalists will get good stories involving big corruptions? You remember, Manmohan Singh time, on a daily basis, there used to be expose here and there.
Yes.
But the government has never denied anybody any access to any government offices. Now, government offices, ministries are totally out of bound of journalists. And only those journalists are given access who are closer to the government, are towing the government's line.
Right.
So you forget that there will be no expose done by journalists. But I am dead sure that once this government is gone, or whenever this government is gone, there will be a lot of exposes which will come out in public. Because I'm not believing that this government, there's no corruption in this government. A lot of corruption. Second point is that this is how the ideological state works. Because if there's a Rafale, if the Rafale had broken before 2014, the whole media for months and months and months would have grilled government, would have asked questions. But what happened? This Rafale expose was done, but media was not asking questions to the government. Media was rather telling to the people of the country that opposition is lying. Rahul Gandhi is lying. That's a difference. Questions were not, and I can say this because I have been part of n numbers of TV debates where the anchors in the media houses did not ask a simple questions on Rafale to the Prime Minister or to the government, but they were trying to portray that this story is a fake news, is a wrong story, and basically opposition is lying and the Rahul Gandhi is lying. Whenever those tapes are out and a big research is done, we all will be ashamed of being a journalist. The kind of journalism was pursued then. Then, even if there is a whip of some uncertainty about these exposes, judiciary, I dare say this, but I wish I should not be saying this, judiciary also became a kind of accomplice into this. Those perceptions are there, that judiciary was an accomplice. What is the reality? I do not know. But the fact is, every time something big happens, which has really embarrassed government, suddenly you get an order from the judiciary that no, everything was all right. The file is shut, and then people still have a lot of trust and faith in judiciary, and the people believe that if any order is passed by the judiciary, they accept it. ठीक है. And then the kind of propaganda which is run. So how this taint will stick to the government? How the people will believe? Yes. Before 2014, the way media was hounding Manmohan Singh and the Congress government, if that process has continued, I can bet my neck this government would not have won election in 2019. I could say this. I could say this with confidence. But the same media which was asking questions, exposing government and grilling government, just shut its eyes and ears and were singing paeans for the government.
Right.
So how the people will get the message? People can get the message only through the media.
Yeah. My last question is coming back to your original argument about the march of the ideological state. Uh, how dangerous is this? And let's say, God forbid, we this march is successful. Let's say our constitution is subverted and we do become a Hindu Rashtra. What does it mean for the idea of India? What does it mean for our internal stability? Because India is a hugely diverse country. The people aligned with this kind of ideology, uh, if you see pan India, they are still a minority. So, what will it mean for the internal stability of this country, and also the idea of India?
See, look at the fate of those governments where the religion becomes the hegemonic power. Any state, any government, and then you'll realize that how dangerous the concept itself is. Because here, like communism was an ideology, but communism did not have a religion. Communism had a problem with religion.
Yes.
But in this, Hindutva derives its legitimacy through religion.
Yep.
They always talk about Hindu, Sanatan Hindu. They will go back in history and said, we are the inheritor of such a great civilization. Yes, we are an inheritor of great civilization. But they are using the Hindu religion for the political purposes. They are using the Hindu religion to change the whole concept of Indian politics and society, and I dare say the civilization. Because in their understanding, why the Hindus, being such a large numbers, being in majority, were ruled by Muslims and the Christians since 1,000 years, more than 1,000 years. And then their diagnosis is because Hindus were weak. Hindus were not united. And Hindus believed into the non-violence, truth, and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read Savarkar's book, Six Glorious Epochs of Indian History,
Yes.
where he says that that values which define Hindu religion are basically perverted values. And we need to change these values.
Mm-hmm.
The Hindus has to be cruel, something
Yes,
like that.
yes.
So why Gandhi was killed? Gandhi was killed not because of the partition, but because he pursued non-violence.
Non-violence.
So, in their opinion, Gandhi was committing the same mistake which Hindus committed 1,000 years back. So, in their opinion, Gandhi was making task of enemies of Hindus easier and creating a possibility where Hindus could again be ruled by other religions. You will never hear them talking about Samrat Ashok, because Samrat Ashok pursued non-violence.
Yes.
You will never hear them talk about Chandragupta Maurya, because Chandragupta Maurya in his last days turned a Jain. Ashok turned a Buddhist. And both of them believed into the non-violence. So Gandhi also pursued the non-violence. So Gandhi, in their opinion, became an enemy of the Hindu civilization, in their opinion. If you look things from this perspective, so their endeavor is not to change society and politics, but also the civilizational values which defines Hindu religion.
So basically, they want to militarize the Hindu society.
Yes, exactly. So, and they are replicating, in their opinion, why Islam became so successful, because Islam के एक हाथ में कुरान था, दूसरे हाथ में तलवार था. So, इसलिए क्योंकि उनके पास एक किताब थी, उनके पास
एक पैगंबर, एक
हाँ, उनके यहाँ जिहाद का कॉन्सेप्ट है, उनके यहाँ काफिर का कॉन्सेप्ट है, ऑल दैट. We did not have, हम तो अपने शत्रुओं को भी गले लगा लेते हैं ना, हम तो उनको माफ कर देते हैं. And then Savarkar gives a very vivid criticism of Shivaji. वो एक उदाहरण है, जब नासिक, मुझे लगता है नासिक के सूबेदार की बहू को उनके सामने लाया जाता है तो वो कहते हैं नहीं 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 नहीं, इनको सम्मान के साथ वापस लौटा दीजिए। सावरकर कहते हैं कि अगर मुसलमानों को इस बात का डर होता कि अगर वो हिंदुस्तान पर अटैक करेंगे, हिंदुओं पर अटैक करेंगे, और हिंदू अगर अगर वो हार जाएंगे तो उनकी बहु बेटियां सुरक्षित नहीं रहेंगी, तो फिर हिंदुस्तान में कभी अटैक करने की बात नहीं करते। दिस इज अ कॉन्वोल्यूटेड आर्गुमेंट।
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Even they perceive that Indian constitution is a product of a Christian framework, and you will laugh at me. But when I was digging at when I was researching for the book, I got to know that they think that in the medieval history, when the Protestants was born, when the
Protestantism.
section Protestants was born, the basic disagreement between the Catholics and Protestants was the separation of power between church and the state. So Indian constitution has enshrined that separation of power between church and state. So in their opinion, they think this is a Christian framework. The Indian constitution is basically speaking the language of a Christians. Why there should be separation between church and the state? So they have gone to that extent, and now they are using the word called decolonization. Decolonization means we are basically the English, the Britishers have colonized our mind so much that we think in the way they used to think.
Yeah.
So this constitution is also a product of that colonized mind. Even Deen Dayal Upadhyay, integral humanism, which the BJP has adopted in 1985 as their official document, he talks about Dharmaraj.
Yes.
And he says in that book that अगर एक आदमी के पास भी धर्म है तो फिर उसकी बात मानी जानी चाहिए, संसद और मेजॉरिटी की बात नहीं मानी जानी चाहिए, क्योंकि वो धर्म के साथ है. And in that integral humanism, Deen Dayal Upadhyay talks about that Indian constitution is basically a threat to Indian unity and integrity. Just imagine, these are not my words. And he says कि अगर भारत में बंग माता है, तमिल माता है, तेलुगु माता है और हिंदी माता है, तो भारत माता कहाँ है? उसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि he says Indian federalism is a dangerous concept. He's saying that Indian federalism is a dangerous concept. From this perspective, if you look at the BJP appointed governors in the opposition ruled states, how they are behaving. Look at the war between the center and the Tamil government, Tamil Nadu government.
Yes.
Every act passed by the assembly is withheld by the governor, and they're not giving their consent. And whether it is Tamil Nadu, whether it is the Kerala government, whether Telangana government, Mamata Banerjee, everybody is very, very unhappy. That situation never used to happen earlier in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time. There used to be tiff between the center and the state, but the way today governors are behaving, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Look at the Delhi government, Arvind Kejriwal. It's a classic example. The way Lieutenant Governor was doing everything which was against the constitution.
Right.
So within that framework, if you try to understand, then you will really understand that how the space for the liberal values and the Nehruvian concept has shrunk. But since they still do not have numbers to change the constitution, change the constitution means to dump this constitution and get a new constitution.
Right.
They have no other option than to operate within the framework, four wall of the constitution.
So finally, the last question. I thought this was the last question, but the way you concluded this answer, so it leads to one last question, and that is, what gives you hope that they may not succeed in their enterprise?
See, my hope is in the word called reclaiming Bharat.
Yes. So what are we reclaiming here?
The reclaiming Bharat, one is a political battle which is happening between the liberals and the Hindutvawadis. that liberals want to reclaim the Bharat which they have conceded since 2014. Where the BJP wants to reclaim Bharat which they have conceded long back. But the other battle which is happening is at the level of the social forces.
Mhm.
The upper caste, which has been a ruling caste, a hegemonic caste for the more than 2000 years. They believe that since Mandal Commission and since the implementation of the constitution, they have been losing ground to the Dalits and the OBCs. So in BJP, they see an opportunity to reclaim that ground,
That space.
to have that hegemonic position
Mhm.
where they are the rulers and they control everything. But on a daily basis, even the political space, they are losing that. Now, because of the constitution, Dalits and the OBCs, first time they got equality. First time they are equal with the upper caste.
Mhm.
But that social equality is still not there. But whatever the political equality they have, whatever the legal equality they have, with the rise of Hindutva, they are scared that they can lose even that ground too. And the situation can be back to square one, but it used to happen 2000 years back. So they want to reclaim that Bharat of their Bharat which they got through the constitution.
So
They want to reclaim
think
that, where they had a legal equality, where the political equality, and there was a chance that they could get the social equality. In their understanding, if this constitution is gone and Hindu Rashtra comes back, then the situation will be back to square one. So they are also fighting to reclaim that Bharat.
Mhm. So you think they'll be successful. So that is where you are hopeful that the RSS enterprise will not succeed.
See, and that's where the last theory, I think people might laugh at me, but I have, after studying the Soviet Union, the Eastern Europe, because I was a student of the Soviet Union. I did my MPhil in Soviet Union.
Mhm.
And I had done a lot of readings about Mussolini and Hitler. I reached to the conclusion that there is a concept of historical accident.
Mhm.
The way Hitler met a historical accident in 1945, the way the communist regime met an accident in 1990, and the China could avoid that historical accident because it changed itself permanently.
Yes.
Mussolini also met those kind of and the kind of the problems which the Iranian revolution is facing. So ideology has an inherent quality, has an inherent logic, that in its pursuit to get their utopia, they sometimes become very illogical.
Okay.
And when they becomes very illogical, the accidents are inevitable.
Mhm.
So let's not live in any illusion that if the BJP is defeated, they will be finished. No.
Mhm.
Even if the BJP loses election in 2029 or 2035, 34, they will remain a formidable force.
Mhm.
This force can only go away if they meet a historical accident.
Mhm.
And I do not rule out that possibility. If a colossus state like Soviet Union can meet an historical accident in 1990 after having such a powerful state apparatus, with such a powerful ideological state apparatus, and such a vast state, then I'm not ruling out the possibility that the similar thing cannot happen in India. But I think that's too early, because that's too much theoretical, a less of with empirical data.
Mhm.
But what I could see that if the BJP, not the BJP, if the RSS from now onwards has to grow, that it has to change its track.
Mhm.
And I could see that Mohan Bhagwat has realized that there is too much danger the way Modi government is moving.
Mhm.
And Hindutva has to be changed. and Hindutva. Not that they want to change the core of ideology. They want to create a facade of change, a perception about Hindutva, to wait for some time and then take another leap. For that, they need a more moderate face to lead the government.
Right. Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you, and all the best for your next book.
Thank you.